What's going on, guys? Super Savage 789 here, bringing you guys another video. Today we're doing What If King Piccolo Was Never Sealed Part 6. I'm not gonna lie, I just recorded it and the audio didn't save, so I'm a bit fuming, so we're just gonna get through it really quickly. Go watch the other parts if you haven't seen it or you need a recap. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Dende protests Piccolo going alone, but the Namekian tells his student not to worry. He survived worse. So he bids farewell to Dende as he, Shin, and Kibito all teleport away with the Kai Kai. When they reappear, Piccolo would look around the landscape, asking where they are. The Supreme Kai tells Piccolo that he should know where they are. From what he gathered, he lived here for centuries. The Namekian is taken aback a bit as he realizes that this is Earth. The irony of him being this planet's savior is not lost on him. But regardless, he decides to do so. According to what Shin has learned, a tournament is being held, so the likelihood is Babidi will attack there. So the trio begin heading over there. As they fly over a large city, Piccolo is actually amazed at how well the Earth has rebuilt itself. He even feels a bit of remorse. If his father never took over, imagine what the Earth would have looked like. Reading his mind, Shin tells him that the sins of the father don't fall upon the son. After they stop Babidi, he's going to more than make up for it. At the tournament grounds, all of Earth's Z fighters would reunite. There'd be a nice moment as Tenshinhan and Yamcha see each other again for the first time in a few years. Both of them stood with their various students. They comment on how they hope the other has trained their students well, with Tenshinhan even being happy to see Yamcha and Bulma's son there. Trunks would comedically approach Tenshinhan, ask him to be his mentor, getting Yamcha all flustered. Bulma would approach Jibo, who stood alongside 17 and 18, and greets her friend, glad that they came. While this tournament serves no purpose, they recognize the significance of it, and gladly decide to come, though Jibo isn't going to participate. With a lack of fighters, there'd be no kids divisions, we just have one tournament roster. Tenshinhan and Yamcha comment on how they're surprised that there are so many fighters they've never seen before. It's rare to see people you've never met, yet alone warriors. Maybe they're just civilians trying to act cool. The tournament roster would be decided, and it's on screen now, so make sure you take a look. The first two fights between the Crane School and the Wolf School are very fun, with Tenshinhan and Yamcha both watching in amazement. Trunks even cheers for the Crane School, getting Bulma to hit him over the head. And with the next two fights, the two Crane School students are both defeated in one shot. While that's expected from 17, it just leaves more questions as to who this cloaked warrior is. When Yamcha fights Android 18, this time it's even easier for him. She's been slacking on her training, favoring the rebuilding efforts, while Yamcha has been training for 7 years straight. So he ends up defeating her after showing off how much his martial arts have developed. It leaves Tenshinhan excited for their rematch. Shin would use magic against his opponent to give him a stomachache, causing him to forfeit before his fight can even start. It just makes Yamcha sweat drop as his student isn't showing off how tough he really is. Next up is Trunks vs Mid Jr., who we know is Piccolo. As to avoid anyone knowing his identity, he's wearing a crude disguise, which only gets ridicule from the boy. The child would continue mocking his opponent, with Piccolo remaining as silent as possible, though his anger can be felt around the crowd, as he hits his breaking point, throwing the first punch, which hits Trunks dead on. The boy was rather cocky due to him thinking Mid Jr. was just a guy, but he realizes that he needs to get serious. So Trunks goes all out attacking Piccolo, with the Namekian suppressing himself. He's actually quite amazed with the boy's technique. Even martial arts has come back to earth. Too bad he'll have to beat him though. Trunks then lets out a shout of Wolf-Fang Fist, throwing a flurry of blows at Piccolo which takes him off guard a bit. While he can easily dodge the attacks, the last blow manages to break his mask. The crowd looks on in horror as Piccolo removes the rest of his disguise, telling the kid that wasn't half bad. Seeing the man who subjugated them causes mass panic, making the crowd all begin to run away. Yamcha immediately lunges in, wanting to protect his son. As Piccolo tries to calm him down, he realizes a fight is inevitable, and so he engages in combat with the martial artist. Tenshinhan moves in the fight as well, but Shin asks him to stop, explaining the situation about Babidi to him. Piccolo would proceed to tell Yamcha that he doesn't have time for this, beginning to power up to his max strength. While being unable to feel ki, Yamcha does begin to get nervous, recognizing that Piccolo was stronger to him prior to this power up. Whilst Piccolo powers up though, someone covered in a cloak moves in, stabbing him in the side with a ki absorbing device. Angered, Piccolo turns to see the cloak figure, who snickers slightly. He goes to fight back, but Shin uses his magic to paralyze him, allowing the cloaked figure to absorb his ki and flee. The Supreme Kai tells the humans to follow him quickly. While Yamcha is reluctant, Ten tells him to do so the duo follow Shin. Feeling bored, 17 and 18 would also go along, though Jibo decides to stay behind to protect the others. After Kibito heals up Piccolo, the duo would also follow. Upon catching up, Piccolo would learn that the others have already been filled in on the information by Shin. Tenshinhan would tell Piccolo that he doesn't care about his motivation for being here. No amount of repent would be enough to fix what he did, and if he even thinks about trying to do anything that will harm the Earth, they will be sure to stop him. Instead of causing an argument, Piccolo would remain silent, focused on the current threat. The group would all arrive at Barbody's ship as they watched the cloaked figure hand Barbody the stolen energy. Dabura would then notice the group, killing Kibito and spitting on 17 and 18, petrifying them. Barbody then enters his ship and the remaining fighters would all follow him. Tenchinon and Yamcha would team up, not wanting the help of Piccolo, as they fight Pui Pui, killing him pretty easily. Next up is Yakon, who gives him a bit more trouble, but nonetheless they're able to stop him thanks to Yamcha using a Sokidan to bait him into position for Ten to off guard and kill him. Dabura would be where the issue arises though. Immediately, Piccolo notes that the humans will be outmatched against the demon, opting to take on the opponent instead. While they don't trust him, if Piccolo died here they would feel some satisfaction, so they simply allow him to do so. Dabura asks if Piccolo thinks he can defeat the Demon King, making Piccolo laugh. He's the only Demon King around here worth anything, and he'll prove it. The duo begin fighting with Dabura having the advantage. While Piccolo is more of a technical fighter, Dabura just has strength that surpasses his by a decent enough margin. The trio watching the fight are nervous as they realize even they won't be a match for this guy, believing that Piccolo will fall in a matter of minutes. Piccolo would scoff however. He didn't want to have to use it, but it supposes that there's no better opponent to test it out on. The Namekian begins to glow as he's surrounded by ki, but the ki feels weird. Shin comments that this appears to be spirit control, but he's never seen it so concentrated before. His body begins to morph as his skin turns darker, in addition to him sprouting wings and a tail. This would be the same form he had against Frieza on Namek. I know this is hella fanficky, but I think with the context of the story, it surprisingly works. From what we know about spirit control, pretty much half of the techniques shown focus on modifying the user's body in some way. With Piccolo having learned spirit control and being quite proficient in it, I'm sure this is something he could train towards. Plus, he's had a decade of nothing but training, and he also doesn't want to depend on assimilating Namekians every time he needs an amp, so Piccolo creating a workaround makes sense. Again, it's kind of fanficky, if the actual series can give people transformations for no reason, then so can I. Piccolo mentions that he probably needs a name for the form, gazing upon Dabura. Demon King Piccolo is pretty catchy, and he doesn't get cold anymore, so why not use that? Dabura looks upon Piccolo, and charges at him to attack before he's teleported out of the room. Everyone is confused as Piccolo reverts to base, questioning what happened. Dabura is also equally as confused by this, but Barbody tells him that he has something better in mind. As the group stands around, the cloaked figure from the tournament approaches them. Wow, Piccolo, I hardly recognize you. Demon King? I thought you were a humble farmer now. Hearing the figure talk makes Piccolo stunned as he recognizes who this is. The figure throws off his cloak, revealing it to be none other than Goku. Shin clocks on that he couldn't have located Goku because Barbody was probably hiding him with magic. Confused, Piccolo asks him why he's working for Barbody, with Goku getting annoyed. His whole life he was raised to cause havoc and love carnage, and just because Piccolo got soft, he was expected to? Ever since he left, he had an awakening. His Saiyan instincts returned to him. He knows just who he is now. Barbody gave him even more power, and promised even more terror. He'd be a fool to pass on it. And now he's even stronger than Piccolo, proving it by sparking into Super Saiyan. Wanting to fight Piccolo, Goku asks Barbody to teleport the duo away, which the wizard obliges to. Piccolo tells Goku that they don't have to do this, but the Saiyan disagrees, so Piccolo and Goku begin to fight. While Piccolo's strength isn't shabby by any means, Goku is quite powerful by now having mastered the Super Saiyan form. It's clear both are holding back, and after sizing each other up, both would wordlessly ascend into their full power, with Piccolo entering Demon King and Goku Super Saiyan 2. As they fight, Piccolo tells Goku to stop this. He knows he isn't evil, think about what he's doing. He's been blinded by this monster. Goku says that his eyes have never been more clear. His whole life, he's always been second best, expected to serve the slugs blindly as Piccolo continued to surpass him. After he kills Piccolo, he'll kill that Majin Buu to prove his strength, and then nothing will oppose him. Piccolo tells Goku that he's not second best. It's clear he's stronger now. His whole life, Piccolo was handed strength. He was born into a position of ruling, and his strength came from handouts, while Goku got his strength from simply being better. He was always the best out of them. He just couldn't see it. At that, Goku pauses. He barks that Piccolo is just manipulating him, but judging from the Namekian's face, he isn't. Piccolo asks Goku when he left, did he feel fulfilled slaughtering needlessly to compensate for his bloodlust? And Goku pauses. His happiest moments were being with the crew. Sure, they tormented people, but he had a purpose. People who had depended on him. He tells Piccolo that he thought Barbody's magic would have removed this emptiness, but it hasn't. Piccolo then places a hand out towards Goku. It's not too late for them to fix this. Hell, he's the only one who could now that he's number one. Goku hesitates before smirking, grabbing Piccolo's hand as he tells the Namekian to keep up. The duo then teleport away to go fight Buu. Backtracking a bit, It wouldn't take long for Boo to be revived thanks to Piccolo and Goku's fight, leading to the two androids having to fight the Jin. Obviously they're outmatched, with it being evident their skills cannot compensate for the massive power gap. Yamcha would try to hit Boo with a Wolfang fist, but the fat blob reacts quicker, firing a massive ki blast at the bandit. Unable to stop himself, Yamcha looks on in horror as the blast is about to impact. At the last second though, Tenshinhan pushes Yamcha out of the way, getting consumed in the blast. He screams out in pain before the blast dissipates, leaving the Triceps nowhere to be found. Yamcha begins to shed a tear at his comrade's death, recognizing how they're all gonna die here. That's when Piccolo and Goku show up. The duo begin fighting against Boo, using their strongest forms to combat the Jin. Even together though, they're merely a plaything for the childlike being, as he proceeds to beat them both down. Goku and Piccolo haven't fought together for a while, with both their styles having changed quite a bit, so the synergy isn't what it used to be. Even a combined attack of Light Grenade and Final Revenger isn't enough to put Boo down. Instead, he'd simply mimic the technique, creating a compact attack that he unleashes onto Piccolo. The Namekian is swept up just like Ten previously was, also not being seen when it dissipates. Everyone would begin to recognize that they aren't going to make it out of this fight. Goku would feel sadness as he watches someone he considers a younger brother get wiped out. He would even get angry if he had any energy left to do so. Boo would take the opportunity of levity to play around, leading to Dabura's death and the androids being freed from their petrification. They come over to the others and be ready to fight, but Goku tells them not to bother. They aren't going to make a difference. He'll be the one to put the end to this right now. Initially, they're all confused before Shin recognizes what he's going to do. He's going to self-destruct. The Saiyan says that he's going to go look for Piccolo in Hell and have a rematch amongst the flames. Before he flies off though, he looks back at the Earthlings. For what it's worth, I never felt any remorse for the pain I caused you weaklings, but Piccolo did. If you're going to hate anyone, hate me. As he flies away, they recognize this to be an attempt to redeem Piccolo in their eyes. Yamcha tell everyone that they need to go now, and so they leave Goku to do what he's going to do. He would begin to glow as he's surrounded in aura, unleashing the final explosion. Unfortunately, just like in canon, this attack is futile as Boo is able to regenerate, but at least he was successful in planting the seeds of changing the humans' minds of Piccolo. And that's where we're going to leave it there. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below what you think's happening in the next part. I swear to God, if this audio hasn't recorded again, I am going to kick a baby in a video game. But yeah, the series is really good. I'm really proud of it. We're halfway through the Boo Saga, part 7, we'll finish that. We're past the halfway mark, guys, we did it. If you could share the series around, it doesn't get the love that I think it should deserve, because this is my best series, and I really want it to do well. So if you could share it around, I'd greatly appreciate it. And yeah, bye!